Hello!
Hello!
Hello everybody and welcome back to another Switch Up story time. Joe, what are we reading?
George's Marvellous Medicine!
George's Marvellous Medicine. What's happened so far? George has made a medicine to fix his gran.
But...
It's made everything grow, hasn't it, the medicine?
Yeah.
It's made the gran grow, so he gave it to all the farmyard animals. It's made them grow, so they're trying to make some more so they can make the animals grow even bigger and make more animals grow. So he's trying to make more medicine, isn't he?
For food.
So this chapter is called George's Marvellous Medicine number 3. He's already made 2. The first one worked, the second one didn't, so he's trying again for a number Tress. Here it is, cried Mr. Killy Cranky, rushing into the kitchen. 1 carton of flea powder for dogs and 1 tin of brown shoe polish. George poured the flea powder into the giant saucepan. Then he scooped the shoe polish out and added that as well. Stir it up, George, shouted Mr. Cranky. Give it another boil. We've got it this time, I bet we have. After Marvellous Medicine 3 had been boiled and stirred, George took a cupful of it out in the yard to try it on another chicken. Mr. Cranky ran after him, flapping his arms and hopping with excitement. Come and watch this one, he called to Mrs. Cranky. Come and watch us turn an ordinary chicken into a lovely great big one that lays eggs as large as footballs. I hope you do better than last time, said Mrs. Cranky, following them out.
Come on, chicken,
George said, holding out a spoonful of medicine number 3.
Good chicken, chick, 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 chick. Have some of this lovely medicine.
A magnificent black cockerel with a scarlet comb came stepping over. The cockerel looked at the spoon and it went, "Cock! Cock-a-doodle-doo!" squawked the cockerel, shooting up into the air and coming down again. Watch him now, cried Mr. Cranky. Watch him grow. Any moment he's going to grow bigger and bigger. Mr. Killy Cranky, Mrs. Cranky and little George stood in the garden staring at the black cockerel. The cockerel stood quite still. It looked as though it had a headache. What's happening to its neck? Mrs. Cranky said.
It's getting longer.
I'll say it's getting longer, Mrs. Cranky said. Mr. Cranky, for once, said nothing. Last time it was the legs, Mrs. Cranky said. Now it's the neck. Who wants a chicken with a long neck? You can't eat a chicken's neck. It was an extraordinary sight. The cockerel's body hadn't grown at all, but the neck was about 6 feet long. All right, George, said Mr. Cranky. What else have you forgotten?
I don't know,
George said. Yes, you do. Come along, boy, think. There's probably one vital thing missing, and you've got to remember it.
I put in some engine oil from the garage.
George said.
Did you have that on your list?
Eureka! Cried Mr. Cranky. That's the answer. How much did you put in?
Half a pint. Half a pint.
Half a pint, George said. Mr. Cranky rang to the garage and found another half pint of oil.
And some antifreeze.
George called after him.
I sloshed in a bit of antifreeze.
Antifreeze. Marvellous Medicine number 4. We'll read this chapter because that was a short one. And he's putting antifreeze in this concoction, and I think it's time to read our warning again, isn't it?
Yes.
What's the warning?
Don't make George's Marvellous Medicine at home.
Definitely not. Do not put antifreeze in anything you're going to eat. That's absolutely crackers. Right, Marvellous Medicine number 4. Back in the kitchen once again, George, with Mr. Cranky watching him, anxiously tipped half a pint of engine oil and some antifreeze into a giant saucepan. Boil it up again, Mr. Cranky said. Boil it up and stir it. George boiled and stirred it. You'll never get it right, said Mrs. Cranky. Don't forget, you don't just have to have the same things, you've got to have exactly the same amounts of those things. And how can you possibly do that? You keep out of this. We're doing fine. We've got it this time. You see if we haven't. This was George's Marvellous Medicine number 4. And when it had boiled for a couple of minutes, George went once again, carrying a cupful into the yard. Mr. Cranky ran after him. Mrs. Cranky followed more slowly. You're going to have some mighty funny chickens running round here if you go on like this, she said. Dish it out, George, cried Mr. Cranky. Give a spoonful to that one over there. He pointed to a brown hen. George knelt down and held out the spoon with the new medicine in it.
Chick,
he said.
Try some of this.
The brown hen walked over and looked at the spoon. Oh, I wouldn't eat any if I was him. He went, peck. Ouch, it said. Then a funny whistling noise came out of its beak. Watch it grow, shouted Mr. Cranky. Don't be too sure, said Mrs. Cranky. Why is it whistling like that? Keep quiet, cried Mr. Cranky. Give it a chance. They stood there staring at the brown hen.
It's getting smaller,
George said.
Look at it, Dad. It's shrinking.
And indeed it was. In less than a minute, the hen had shrunk so much it was no bigger than a new hatched chick. It looked ridiculous. That's the end of the chapter, and next time is Goodbye Grandma, and that's the final chapter. So we're very close to the end now, so make sure you don't miss the final chapter, Goodbye Grandma. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye-bye.
Goodbye.